So today I'm sitting with Andre and Cornelie Brink. They're based in Kenya and they run an organization. And there's little guy Andreas. Hey man, excited to see us too. They work in the community with the Maasai down on the south of Kenya near the Tanzanian border. And Andre's been there most of his adult life. He moved to Kenya when he was about 18, I think. And Cornelie joined him a couple of years ago. There's a nice little love story there, which we won't get into right now, but they got married and she joined him in the bush. Walking with Maasai do so many cool things, from health, helping people with healthcare, to education. And they also run a sustainable eco-tourism camp, which myself and my wife Jo have had the privilege of going to and visiting them, which was such an amazing experience. And we'll dive a bit more into that a bit later. I'm hoping that this will spark some enthusiasm and some interest from our people to come visit you guys again. But yeah, man, guys, without getting into too much detail, people can read up about what you do. I really would rather ask you some interesting questions and get your heart behind a few things. When you first moved to Kenya, Andre, I think you realized you really had to immerse yourself into the community, and you've done that so incredibly well, as becoming part of the Maasai there and living within them. What has kind of been the most impactful way that you've been able to be accepted by the community?
It's a long story, so it's quite an interesting story, but the most important thing about building relationship with such a remote community is relationship. If that remains your focus, and if you're patient enough, then I believe God will open all the doors. It's certainly not a thing of having to produce. If relationship comes first, and if you're patient enough, then you will start to see the fruits, because people learn to trust you. And the good thing for yourself when you work in such a community is you also actually really get to know the community for who they are, the individuals, you know the bad characters, you know the good characters, and it helps a lot. So,
and I mean, you guys are really in the remote parts of Kenya. Can you maybe just describe how remote it is down there?
Well, our nearest town where we can actually go and do our supply shopping is about 4 hours away. The nearest hospital out here is actually in Tanzania. It's across the border. But yeah, it is pretty remote, more so because of the badness of the roads than the actual distance. Yeah, so it is quite remote.
I remember when I came down there from your closest town or city, Narok. It's about 70 or 80 k's, and it took us 4 hours, hey, through the hills.
4 hours. It's 140 kilometers, yeah.
140 k's, and it took 4 hours for us in the back of your medical van, hey. Something experience. It was
but
great.
I mean, on your question, I remember Andre was saying at some point he got some cows.
Oh yeah.
To be able to relate to the community and to
Yes.
almost create a problem that he needed the community to help him with.
Yes.
To be able to build relationship.
Yeah, that was one of the things that certainly brought breakthrough. Was in the beginning I wasn't sure exactly how to establish good relationships. But when I got a few cows and a few goats, all of a sudden I was able to sit with some of the old men and I could ask them advice, and it opened all the doors all of a sudden, just because it was something that people could relate to. And because I had a need, I was the one who had a need, and they felt that they could contribute towards, my small herd of cattle.
Yeah.
And that certainly did quite a lot.
But actually, and not going there thinking that you have the answers, but rather asking the older, wiser men as to how they can give you some advice on handling cows. Wow, that's really cool, man. And since then, you've made some friends.
That's right.
And the guys have really become your peers, and your colleagues have become your friends. and they all work there with you. In the local guys, the local Maasai work with you.
And again, it's all about relationship. In the beginning, when I started out here, we ran a discipleship training ministry, and for me that was the ministry. But God challenged me, and He showed me that it was not actually the teachings that we were doing that was the ministry. It was actually the day-to-day walk with people, and that is where the organization, where it also got its name from, Walking with Maasai, was because God showed us that our ministry is the journey that we're journeying with people.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And I mean, I must say, from my experience with you guys, obviously you are there to witness and bring the gospel, but I didn't experience you guys as people that had an agenda with the Bible. You were there really just to serve people and be a help to the community and build real relationships. And I think that's amazing, because that's really where God speaks and uses you guys to impact and it's more about your service and your actions than you actually witnessing the gospel, where people see God in you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
one of the cool things that you do there is the eco camp. I tell the story often, but they've got these eco loos as well. So they live out in the remote bush. There's no plumbing, there's no anything like that, and you use the elephant jaw. I think it was elephant or a rhino jaw as the toilet seat. And then there was a local compost as well that you poured in, and some sawdust, and that kind of was your loo. Yeah. So you use that as a sustainable part of bringing income to the camp and to the people there, and the work you do. Through all of those things, what is the most meaningful part that's come out of those projects?
I think the most meaningful part for us is the relationships. In the end of the day, because you become really good friends with people in the community. You become part of their families, and we've learned that there's no way that discipleship if you don't have true relationships. And so the people that we work with are really amazing, but they certainly have their mistakes. But it is the ability to be able to accept people with their mistakes and still love them, constantly loving them, just like the way God loves us, whether we sin or not. He is consistent in His love for us. And when you mirror that in circumstances like this, then there's a very deep love that grows between you and the people that you serve, both ways. And I think that certainly for us is probably the thing that means the most to us, because that's where we see our fruits. We don't see it in hundreds of people coming to Christ every month. We see it in really deep, sustainable relationships.
Yeah, I think an amazing byproduct of the camp has also been the relationship with guests and tour operators.
Yeah.
Being this remote, we get a lot of evolutionists and atheists as well. And just to be able to have a conversation with them and build relationship with them, as well as also become part of our ministry that we didn't necessarily see coming.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you have quite interesting conversations, and then actually hearing how the Maasai tackle those difficult questions and difficult conversations is really amazing.
Wow, that's cool, eh? Yeah, and also, I mean, you've totally immersed there with the locals. So the Maasai themselves, they are running the camp and working with you guys and building tents and buildings. One of the interesting things I found is, you've lived there for a long time now, and you've never chosen to build an actual house out of brick. I know you've built one or two hospitals or clinics and centers and that, but just you guys live in a tent. You can see it in the background there. And obviously you've extended that since you've had a little one. But maybe you can give me some thoughts on why. There we go. There's your bedroom, and you're sitting in the lounge, which is also the dining room. Maybe give us a reason for why you are still living in a tent after all the years there and not an actual building.
Ryan, there are my years being out here in East Africa. I've actually seen communities fight over houses that missionaries have built, to the point where it becomes extremely ugly and it becomes a thing of the things. buildings and the permanent things that are left behind when the missionary leaves. And over the years, I've come to the conclusion that you need to be able to identify with the community that you live with, and they need to be able to identify with you. So for us choosing to live in a tent, it allows us to actually not have too many material things that puts us in a different class than the people that we are serving. A tent is a temporary thing, just like a Maasai house. It's very temporary, and we love the outdoors. We love living in a tent. The temporary feel of it is something that I think both of us love. And it also reminds us that we're not here permanently, and that the work that we need to do, if we wanted to have lasting impacts in the community, it needs to be focused not on building a house for us to be comfortable, but it needs to be channeled. The energy needs to be channeled in building relationship with the community.
Yes. Okay. And then I think as a last question, I've asked a couple of people this. What is the biggest thing that has made you feel good about humanity and just being a human? What is the smallest thing that people have done that's made you feel good about that?
It's a tricky question. I think the first thing that came to mind for me, I mean, here humanity and community living is very much integrated. And I think the game changer for me regarding community living was, I don't know how long I've been here, but at some point, Andre and I were both man down with flu. And one of the guys went and bought meat, and he got the chef to come, and the two of them came at night and cooked for us, brought us dinner in bed and left.
Without us asking.
Yeah.
They just,
and that was, I think that was my game changer in terms of relationship and accepting help from people and believing in the goodness of people.
Yeah, we've learned that it is okay to be needy, even where you serve, because then again people can identify with you, and because of that realness, I think because of that the fact that people can see that you also have needs, it helps them. It bridges the gap, basically.
Well, that's beautiful, man. There's an element of vulnerability there, where if you're brave enough to be vulnerable to the people that are actually close to you in your life, it really there's a common thread that comes through with that humanity, it's cool to do big things and it's cool to shout from the hilltops, but actually we're all actually connecting to that little thing, and the spark in someone's eye, or hope in someone's eye, or someone being able to be helpful to someone, not just receiving help too. So that's beautiful.
That's right.
Oh, that's cool. Man, it's been awesome chatting to you guys. I would love to talk more, and I'm hoping people will jump on board and go and check you guys out online. I'm really hoping that we can come and visit you guys as a tour group or as a mission group one day. We started talking about it, and then lockdown happened. We've been doing our team has been doing a couple of local mission trips here in the Transkei. And I said to them, we need to jump on one and get to Kenya and come visit you guys sometime. So hopefully next year, if the world allows us to, we can come and visit you guys and see what you're doing.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. You guys are so welcome.
No, thanks, man. And I mean, that camp is really cool. I mean, I remember Joe and I taking lots of walks there as well. And there's a little place when you go down to the river, and if you rub your hands in the water, it starts bubbling with that natural spring, kind of lukewarm natural spring.
Yeah.
And we went for that walk with I can't remember his name. It wasn't Cashew, it was another guy. And all he had was his Maasai spear and Amos, that's it, a Maasai spear and his pink Nikon camera. And we went for a walk and encountered a hippo. And he was very confident that he'd be able to look after us. But man, I'm really glad that hippo decided not to charge us. And then obviously we met some great people there. And I think the part I enjoyed the most was just getting to know your team and having some conversations with people, Maasai, that have lived in Kenya all their lives and really are in the rural parts of the world. Those were my favorite times. So I hope we can bring a few people over there to come serve you guys. And to be honest, the people who do the trips end up getting more out of it than what they do there. So the growth that I felt and voted, and I always find it's actually more of an internal journey than what happens on the ground there. So it's been amazing chatting to you, and I'm sure we'll touch base again soon.
Great.
Yeah, great.